Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Finding Pace series, a series where I take you guys along for my journey to running a faster 5K. This is the Training Diaries, an episode where I deep dive into my previous week of training, a conversation regarding everything to do with sessions, nutrition, workouts, all of the fun stuff that goes into running a sub 16-minute 5K. So last week I spoke about niggles and how I was basically niggle free. It's funny that I say that because this week I've actually been struggling a little bit with my knee. Long story short, I was doing some exercise in the gym and I was getting a little bit too confident with my knee, and I seem to have aggravated it and just made it feel a little bit unstable while I was running. So I moved around some days of running and it all worked out in the end, but I'll explain in further detail when we get into the training deep dive. So I clocked 86 kilometers for the second week in a row, and it seems to be a pretty good amount of mileage for me right now. And with the sessions starting to ramp up, I know that I'm definitely going to feel it. I mean, I'm already feeling it right now, if I'm being honest. This week we introduced hill reps, which by the way, are bloody rough. Something I'm not used to. I also spoke to coach for some clarification on my LT1 and LT2 paces. And it turns out that most of you guys that commented were correct, and I was definitely running too fast for my LT2. I was just going off the data that I got from the LT test that I did at the run clinic, and it turns out I was just going off the maximum end of my LT2. So like that was the very tip top of my LT2, which was closer to my 5K pace. So yeah, a little bit of confusion there. So this week, I've definitely run a little bit hot for both of my sessions. But next week, for the next Training Diaries, we should be a little bit more sensible and a little bit more in control. So I was basically flogging it a little too hard. Classic Dave. So let's get into the training deep dive for the week. That was the 15th to the 21st of September. Okay, so kicking it off with Monday. Monday we had a 10K easy with 4x15 second strides, same as last week. And it's a little introduction into what I did this week, where I started to introduce some hills into that easy run. So yeah, good little warm up for the weeks to come. But basically we ran 10.88K and averaged perfectly bang on 5-minute pace. For those 15 seconds strides, I just did those at the end of the easy run, and I averaged 307, 319, 257, and 306. Clearly got a little bit faster, then a little bit slower, a little bit faster. Honestly, I'm not looking at my watch, I'm not looking at the time. I'm literally just running at 90% effort with good mechanics. I did run in the Neo Vista for this easy run, and I will say the Neo Vista is a goated shoe. Absolutely love it. Can't say enough good things about it, but when it came to doing 15-second strides, it got moving, but let's just say there is other shoes I would probably choose over that to run at 90% effort. But they were pretty good. So 10.88Ks for the Monday. Then we move on to Tuesday. So Tuesday is the first session day of the week. What we had on the plan, we had 6 by 3 minutes at LT2 pace with a 60-second standing recovery in between. So I did this one with the group, or I started with the group anyway. So we did our 5K warm up, so 2.5K out and back, leaving from Main Beach. And I was feeling pretty good. I was feeling pretty good for this warm up, and I was ready to attack my first session pretty much of the block that wasn't on the track and was back with the group, and nice and early on a Tuesday morning. So I was actually just in the mindset to rip in, and you'll be able to see by my paces that I absolutely ripped in. And what I spoke about earlier where I was running too hot for my LT2 pace, I was pretty much saying that my LT2 pace was my 5K PB pace, which I've now been told that LT2 should be a pace or an intensity that you can hold for 40 to 60 minutes. And there is no way in hell that I'm holding 3:18 pace for 40 to 60 minutes. It's probably closer to that 3:25 to 3:30, probably closer to 3:30, I would say. So right on that 10K pace would be what I'm going to be treating my LT to from now on. But I didn't do that for this session just yet because I hadn't had a chat to coach. So that was my own fault, but let's be honest, this session, it felt awesome. It felt good to just empty the tank every single rep and just absolutely send it. So let's go into the splits. So 6 by 3 minutes. And yeah, when I say that I was giving this session hell, I absolutely gave it hell. It was a solo session. The other guys were out on the road with me, but yeah, we were all doing different stuff. So I was out there solo dolo, just ripping in. So the first rep of 3 minutes was 3:18 per K, and I got 920 meters in. So the thing about a 3-minute rep is, I guess if you're the next level above me, you most likely are going to be getting a 1 kilometer rep in. So you could basically call this like a 6 by 1K session off 1 minute rest. But for me, I was just stopping a bit shy. So I was just getting over that 900 meters for each one, which felt really weird because we have like a point to point K kind of measured out on the road that we run. And it felt like I literally was just doing K reps anyway. So yeah, it hurt just as much as the K rep, even though I was only going for 3 minutes. Then we had 1 minute recovery, going to the next one, 3:20 per K. Resting, next one, 3:17. So yeah, for that third one, I must have felt like an absolute hero because I was definitely sending it. And I think I remember after the third one, I was really starting to get lactic by the end of the rep. And a minute, see if you guys agree with me with this. I think a minute is only just enough time to recover enough to go again. I feel like you feel completely effed all the way up until about 20 seconds left of your recovery, and then all of a sudden you kind of come good and you just scrape yourself together well enough to go again by that minute. I think 90 seconds feels a little bit too long of a rest. Unless, you're doing like maybe a 10-minute rep or a 20-minute rep or something. But at least for K reps, I think 90 seconds is too long. So maybe that sweet spot of about 75 seconds, I think would be perfect. You're recovering enough, but you're not recovering too much. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. What do you think the perfect recovery time is for 1K reps or 3-minute reps? I guess we can call it the same thing if you're ripping 3-minute Ks, which I'm not, but I mean, not bad, not far off. I mean, but then we come to the fourth one. So that was 3:19, a little bit slower, then 3:20. And then the last one, of course, I had to finish strong, empty the tank. I was kind of treating this like it was the end of a race, and I ran a 3:15 per K. So definitely, absolutely sent it. Let's have a look at the heart rate data for this final rep. So we started the final rep at 170. Oh, it dropped down a little bit. And then by the end of it, yep, we finished at 177 beats, which is pretty much my max. And when I say that I finished this rep and I was hurled over my knees and blowing, absolutely blowing, yeah, you should believe me because I was definitely cooked. And because I had a bit of a shorter session, I managed to run back to the car. I changed my shoes back into the Neo Vistas, and I grabbed my phone and I got some good clips of the guys running through. So I got some clips of Matt Fox, who's been joining in on some of the sessions with the group lately, which has been really fun having him around. And I got some clips of Kyle and Rinny, and yeah, they were actually doing K reps off 90 seconds. So yeah, and they did 8 of them. So I think their session was definitely a bit more spicy than mine. But then we did about a 2K cool down. So in total, it was 8.6 plus 5. So what's that? 15.5 K for the morning. really good. In that session, I wore the Mizuno Rebellion Pro Lows. So that was the first time I've worn them on the road. And I think they're a really good shoe, a good session shoe, I would say. I don't think I would race in them. I don't think they have enough, they don't have enough pop. Like, they don't have enough wow factor for me. But, that doesn't mean that it's not a good shoe. I think that just means I wouldn't choose it over maybe the Tokyo for a race. But I said the same thing about the Super Comp Elite 4. I'm not going to pick that for a race, but I will pick it any day of the week for a session shoe. So I think it kind of falls into the same category as the Super Comp Elite 4. Maybe not as comfortable or as wide in the toes, but yeah, I think the performance aspect that you're going to get out of that shoe is very, very similar. It gives me similar vibes, if I'm being honest. And so that was Tuesday morning, and in the afternoon I went to PT. I've been doing some mobility work, some foam rolling, and muscle release work with a friend of mine, Hayden. And we did some pretty ambitious exercises at the gym where I put a lot of strain on my knee, like for example, a curtsy squat or curtsy lunge. Where you kind of lunge back on the angle. It would just put a lot of pressure on my knee, and I really, really worked it. And after that session, it was quite sore. And then the next day, I had my midweek long run with the group, which always ends up being like a pretty solid effort. Like, it's always around 18 to 20K, 90 minutes of work, and very, very hilly and quite quick. So you want to be in your best shape when you do those, because it is a loop. You don't want to get stuck out on a loop with a bung knee and walk back. I don't even know. That would just be shit house. So in the morning, got up, did a little bit of a jog around the house, and yeah, it just wasn't feeling right. It was clicking, and I'm like, I know that I'm just going to be doing myself, I'm not going to be doing myself any justice going out and doing this long run. So I bailed, and I just did 10K easy, which funnily enough is actually what is programmed on my plan. So it's the first Wednesday since starting the plan that I actually followed what the coach wanted me to do. So I ended up just doing 10Ks easy. This was at 5:12 pace. This was very, very chill, very slow, heart rate 147. And to be honest, my knee, it just didn't really feel that great. It felt weak, it felt a little bit unstable, and I just felt like I couldn't really run that well, which obviously isn't ideal. And it was, it made me worried for the session later in the week. And because like I always say this, like the only thing that can stop progression is injury. That's the only thing that stops you getting faster and building off, building the stack and the bricks of training is injury. So the last thing I wanted to do was be injured again and not be able to run, especially since I started this series, and it was just a lot of shit going through my mind. So I was a little bit worried at this stage, but Thursday came around. I actually met up with my friend Eli at Currumbin, and we went for a jog. This was pretty good because Eli, like when I run with friends and when I run with Eli, I do end up running a little bit slower. So this was another day for me to sort of rest the knee and take it nice and easy and slow. I ended up doing 10Ks at 5:12 pace. I wore the Neo Vistas as well for the day before and for the Thursday. But one thing that was happening, and it happened after Wednesday and happened after Thursday as well, is my knee felt okay at the start of the run. And then when I finished the run and for the rest of the day, it was quite sore. So I thought maybe running actually isn't giving it a chance to improve. So Friday came around where I would usually have my session with the group, and I decided to have the day off. I actually started work at 4:15 in the morning at the gym. So I was gonna have to do a mid-morning or afternoon workout anyway. And I just decided, all right, I'm just gonna call it Friday and I'm gonna have the day off. So that's what I did. Had Friday off, rested it. And to be honest, like resting it that day, even just that day, it felt so much better not running. And then I decided to swap the workout for Saturday. So Saturday, if you're a Gold Coast local, you've probably heard of Pizzey Park in Miami. That's actually a couple of kilometers away from my house. So I actually met up with my friend Hugh, and met him down at Pizzy. I jogged down there and we ripped a session. So I was a little bit stressed, wasn't sure how my knee was gonna feel. Woke up Saturday, it felt great. So ultimately that Friday that I had off just did absolute wonders, and the knee was feeling really, really good. So I was really happy with that. But yeah, let's talk about the session. So I did a 5.5 kilometer warm up because I ran from home to Pizzy, got there, saw Hugh, and then he needed to do a warm up as well. So we went for a little bit of an extra jog around the lake and got that done. So of course, shock, I wore the Neo Vistas for my warm up. But then I got changed into the Rebellion Pro Lows again, turning into a bit of a Mizuno boy here, if I wasn't already. We've got the full Mizuno lineup just on rotation right now. And we get into the session. So the session was 5 minutes at LT2. Then we go into 8 sets of 30-second hill sprints with a jog/walk recovery back down the hill before you go again. Then we finished it off with 5 minutes at LT1. There was a lot of jogging and resting in between all of these things, just because where we did the 5-minute reps was in a different location to where we did the hills. But yeah, it was really great having a friend there. And like I said earlier, this LT2 pace that I've been doing, I've been doing it way too hot, and this is a prime example. I knew I was going too fast, but I don't know, I kind of just wanted to rip it. I've just been in that mindset this week, and I know I'm naughty for that. I'm gonna change next week, but yeah, I don't know why I was in this mindset. So the first 5 minutes that we did was at 3:16 pace. I know, what am I doing? What am I doing? But I'll tell you what, damn, it felt good. It was tough. It felt like I was just blowing out the cobwebs or something. But yeah, it felt great. Smashed it. Of course, I was cooked after it, but I knew that I had a nice easy jog to get over to those hills. So then we jogged for about 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes, then went over and did our 30-second hill sprint. So what's really great about Pizzy is next to it, there's a golf course and there's a pretty decent hill. So we made our way to that, and then it was basically just max effort for 30 seconds up the top of this hill. And then we took our time jogging down. This is the first time I've done hills in a session. So, I just didn't want to overdo it. I wanted to make sure that I was getting a decent amount of rest. So, sent it up, and then nice casual walk back down, chatting with Hugh, talking shit. And yeah, we smashed out 8 reps of the 30 seconds. So the first one was at 3:13 pace. Next one, 2:53 pace. Obviously felt amazing for that one, apparently. Then we go 3:05, 3:12, 3:15, 3:14, and then the last one was 3:12. So I remember them getting progressively harder every single time. Like getting to that last 5 seconds at the top of that hill was very, very tough. But it's one of those things that just feels really good. Like when it just feels like you're working hard, and you're doing yourself a favor. I don't know, it just feels good. Like it's a nice feeling just working hard and pushing yourself. So we finished that last 30 seconds, and then we had about a 2-minute jog back to Pizzy, where we did our final 5 minutes. So that 5 minutes was meant to be done at LT2. So we did that one at 3:43 pace, kept the heart rate nice and controlled. And after doing that really fast 5 minutes at the start and those pretty quick 30-second reps, running that 5 minutes at 3:43 pace actually felt weirdly cruisy. LT1, I was kind of in my brain thinking it was around like that marathon pace feeling. And that's kind of what that felt like. So yeah, really happy with how strong I finished that session. And then we did a bit of a cool down. So we got just over 3K for the cool downs. Yeah, 15K for your Saturday. I was wigging out all day because it felt like a Friday, and I was like, where are all these people? Why are all these people at Pizzy? Like, don't they have jobs? I say that so ironically because they're probably thinking the same thing to me if they saw me during the week. But yeah, then I realized it was a Saturday, so there you go. Then we come to Sunday. I knew I was gonna be sore because one, you do something you haven't really done before, you're gonna be sore from it. That's just facts. Two, you go too hard, you're gonna be sore. That's just facts. That's facts. So those two things compounded together, I knew Sunday was gonna be a bit of a slog. And I woke up and my God, my hips, like my glute med, were tender, like tender to touch. Like you touch them, like, ooh, little touchy there. But even though I was sore, I had 2 hours on the plan to get done. So we were out there for 2 hours. We ran 26.48 kilometers, 4:35 pace average. And yeah, we burned almost 2,000 calories. And yeah, we started at 5 a.m., made our way all the way down from Main Beach to Burleigh, turned around, came back. A few of the guys had some marathon paced work thrown in. Some of the guys that are doing Melbourne Marathon, that is in 3 weeks. I was like, hell no, I'm not joining in for that shit. You guys can go. I'm jogging because I'm so sore. And I knew, part of me was thinking, when I am fatigued, my knee does start to slip a little bit, which happens. And especially with the little bit of drama that I've had through the week, I was a little bit unsure about how it was gonna go on this 2 hours. And yeah, of course, at about 90 minutes, my knee started to slip and was just giving me a bit of grief, which is annoying because I know that it was just because it was fatigued and it's been worked a fair bit the day before. Aerobically, I felt really great. It was just my knee was feeling a bit shitty. So I'm hoping it was just that little niggle, that little aggravation during the start of the week. And I'm not gonna have any dramas going into this week that I'm currently in now. But still got it done. Ended up finishing the run with Rinny and Shaz, the best girls. And yeah, got it done. I'll tell you what, even starting at 5 a.m. these days, it is just so hot for that last half an hour. Felt like I was absolutely cooking, sizzling in the sun. So just a little taste of what's to come in summer. But I wore the Neo Vista Tues. Just wanted a slightly more stable option than the Evo SLs for the Sunday. Just with my knee, wasn't really sure how I was gonna go. So I just wanted that Neo Vista because I knew that was gonna keep me a little bit more in check. So. But yeah, that is going to be the end. That ticks off a 86 kilometer week with a rest day once again. So yeah, I'm feeling like that mileage it's kind of the sweet spot at the moment, especially as we start to introduce more and more hard sessions and hills. A little spoiler alert. Today being Monday, on my easy run, I had some 10-second hill sprints thrown in. So yeah, no rest for the weary, sleep when I'm dead. We're getting fast, and that's all there is to it. We're getting fucking fast, baby. But that concludes the training breakdown segment of the Training Diaries episode. What we're gonna get into now, I've got some questions that you guys have sent in on my Instagram story today. I've handpicked them out and we're gonna go off the cuff and let's get into it. Okay, right off the bat, first one, we've got Matt Scott 598. So this one says, what's a good track session for a half marathon? Track session. See, I don't really do much track work, but what would be a really good one? Two comes to mind. First one would be 10 by 1K, and I would do that at goal half marathon pace with 60 to 90 seconds recovery in between. I think that would be a pretty good session to indicate what you're capable of for the half marathon. Another one would be 4 to 5 by 2K, and I would do those 2Ks at half marathon goal race effort. And I would probably have a 90-second standing or maybe a 90-second slow recovery jog in between. But I think if you can get through either of those sessions at your goal race pace, I think you're gonna be in a pretty good spot come race day. Next one is from Hugh, who I actually ran with on Saturday. So shout out to you, mate. So it says, what does a post-session meal look like for you? So all of my sessions, all of my runs, I do in the morning. So the feed that I have after those sessions or runs is always breakfast. So my go-to breakfast at the moment, when I'm eating with Michaela or it's the weekend, we'll have sourdough with eggs, and we'll have sauerkraut on it and avocado. All right, that's the go-to. I have a coffee with it, just getting protein and carbs back in. But during the week when, I'm working and I just want something nice, quick and easy, then I'll have a Greek yogurt with protein powder mixed in, and then I'll have blueberries, frozen raspberries, almonds. If I can sneak some rice crackers broken up in there as well for some extra carbs, I do. Peanut butter, absolutely. And then some almonds as well. So that is the go-to post-session meal. Next one comes from Cal C. Tattoo. So what do your sessions, brackets, long runs plus intervals, look like when you don't have a specific race? So if I'm just training for fitness and don't have a big race in the calendar coming up, a lot of the time I will mix it up. So like on a Tuesday, I might do some shorter reps, like 1 minute hard, 1 minute float, 1 minute hard, 1 minute float, finish 1 minute hard times 4 or something like that. I find those sessions really enjoyable, or even like a Kenyan fight, like 2 on, 1 off, 1 on, 1 off, things like that. I really enjoy. I basically just choose sessions that I know I'm going to enjoy because I'm not following a specific plan and I've basically got free reign to do whatever I like. Also, a lot of the time I'll just do whatever the group is doing. And if some of those guys are training for marathon, some of those guys are training for the 5K, I'll just kind of jump in and see, which one I'd prefer to do on the day. Another one we can do is like long reps. So it might be 3 by 8 minutes, 5 by 5 minutes, things like that. Those are really, really fun. And basically I just do whatever the group is doing. So I'll say, we'll go for our warm-up jog and everyone will be like, oh, what do you got today? What do you got today? And then we kind of just decide, I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm going to jump in with Marty, or I'm going to jump in with Luke, or jump in with Ryan, or I would like to say I'm going to jump in with Rini, but I don't think I'm going to be able to jump in with her for much. But that's basically how it goes. Don't really know what I'm doing half the time until I get there, and trusty lap press on the watch gets me through the session. So that's when I'm not really training for anything, and I'm just running for fun and fitness and for good vibes. Then the last question, left the best for last apparently. So this one's from Hey, I'm Josh, lol. So running shirtless, yes, no, when? Well, the answer is yes, absolutely yes. When the temperature is above 16 degrees Celsius. Because right now, I'm struggling to wear a shirt and I haven't even bothered to put one on. When I start my long run this week, any of the sessions, I just have left the shirt at home for this one because, it's already in September. It's already getting way too hot to wear a shirt. So I can get away with wearing the no shirt, not really wearing sunscreen because I run early in the morning, so the sun isn't quite as harsh. But I tell you what, it's still bloody hot and still bloody humid. So when? Every day, every damn day. But that's going to conclude the question time segment of the Training Diaries episode. If you've enjoyed this episode, guys, make sure you like it. You subscribe if you haven't already. If you haven't, what are you doing? Subscribe. Helps me out so much. Share this video with anybody that you think would enjoy it. And thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.